Hello, everyone. Chuck and Pam here. The latest Real Talk with Chuck and Pam podcast. It is a big week, a big week, a week that I have been looking forward to for 2 years, because John Cena and Idris Elba have a new movie out on Amazon that I can't wait to talk about.
You lie, you lie.
What do you mean I lie?
I know what you've been waiting for 2 years. And I have to say, you know, I love introing these superhero movies. And what I'm referring to is Superman. And one of our avid and consistent listeners, Clint Rebman, called this to Chuck's attention, the fact that I gave it a valiant effort to review I think it was a Marvel movie, maybe
Yes.
Captain America. I don't know. They all blend together. And I did give it my best shot to be able to explain the premise of that movie and all of its nuances historically. I'm sure I messed it up. So,
No, no.
so Clint, this intro is just for you. I'm going to let Chuck do it.
Okay. Uh, because we don't want me to have to, and Clint pointed out this as well, his love of the phrase, Chuck-splain. We don't want you to have me Chuck-splain the movie, correct?
No, no Chuck splaining in this. There might
Yeah,
be some
that's,
Pam splaining to do.
yeah. Someone?
Some Pam splaining to do on this.
Oh, right, right. Maybe Chuck-splain should be on a t-shirt or something at some point. Who knows? Who knows?
I think that's a
Um,
great marketing idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, Superman, James Gunn's Superman finally arrives in theaters. I can't think of a more highly anticipated film of the year. It broke Fandango when advance tickets went on sale. So that tells me there's a hunger for this film. There's an audience for it out there, and deservedly so. All superheroes come from Superman. I mean, everything traces back to him in 1938. So if you are into superhero films at all, or even have a cursory interest, you have to have some sort of interest in this movie. Um, it's a problematic movie. I think I liked about as much of it as I didn't like. But there's no doubting the enthusiasm of it. And I know at least one aspect Pam Powell must have liked, and that was Crypto, the super dog. Anything with a dog in it usually wins Pam over. Though I'm looking at her face right now, it doesn't look as though Crypto did much for her. So maybe this is the exception to the rule.
It is.
It is, sorry. You know, Gunn has gone out of his way to make sure that, he has stated that the world is in a bad way right now, and he's always regarded Superman as a beacon of hope. And that's the way he's always has been. If you look back at the early adventures in the 30s and 40s, he's fighting the Ku Klux Klan. He is taking on slumlords in Metropolis. There's always been social concerns there where the character is considered. And Gunn really emphasizes his immigrant status here in the film, and rightfully so, because that, of course, has been a hot button topic for our country at the moment and become a divisive topic as well. And there is no question that Superman's always been the quintessential American story. He is an immigrant. He comes to a new land, and it is all for the sole purpose of remaking himself. And that's always been the promise of this country.
Right.
And that's been lost. And that's been emphasized then in this film. And I think that's one of the stronger aspects of the movie.
I would agree with you on that completely.
Another strong aspect is the characterization of Lex Luthor, his seminal villain. There's no doubt about it that he is supposed to be a Trump stand-in here. Everything that Luthor does is mirrors Trump's activities. He is able to manipulate the crowd with his hysteria. He is able to manipulate the media with his lies. And he also focuses in on Superman's otherness to set him apart and make him a target. There's also a bracing moment of an internment camp that's used, and the fact that Luthor has aligned himself with a would-be dictator who is intent on invading a neighboring, weaker country, well, gosh, that can't just be a coincidence, I wouldn't think. So this may alienate some people, but hats off to Gunn. I mean, he's bringing it the way he should, as far as looking at social issues through a comic book prism. And that's always what the best comic book movies do, what the best any genre movie does. There has to be a subtext there for it to really mean something. So I think those two aspects are good. Things that aren't too good about this movie is it's all over the place.
Oh my God.
I thought it was all over the place. I can't imagine what you felt, Pam.
Oh my God. It was just, it was constant bombardment auditorily, visually, and it was all over the place. I felt like I was on speed and had ADD. It
Mhm.
was so frenetic.
It is frenetic. And that is part and parcel because of the character. I mean, I think he wanted to emphasize how quick he is at times, but also, it's almost as if he wanted to cite every different aspect of the history of the character.
Right,
In the 1950s comics, Superman was always fighting goofy space sci-fi aliens. So that's where we get the giant creature that ravages Metropolis. That's right out of the 1950s comics. We get characters from Richard Donner's 1978 film, Eve Tessmacher and Otis. Those are taken from that film. We get in the 1980s, the comic book really focused on the Daily Planet staff. That's where we get Steve Lombard, the sports writer here, Cat Grant, who's in charge of entertainment, Ron Troop, who's another reporter. All those characters are there. We get the comic book sensibility. There's a cartoon called The Adventures of Superman, and it is very bright and it is very quick. And this movie is modeled after that. So it's almost as if he wanted to cram everything into this movie about Superman and all of his different historical incarnations. And it becomes a bit much, even for someone who likes Superman. So as I say, I can't imagine how you felt.
yeah. I'm really glad that you, in the initial part of reviewing this, brought up the whole social commentary because it is so incredibly relevant, and it's crazy to me to think that this was, as you indicated, you've been waiting for this for 2 years. So this has been in the making for at least 2 years, probably more than that if I know my movie stuff well enough. So for the social commentary to be that spot on specific, hats off. Incredible messaging there. I do love the subtext. And when you explain all these comic book heroes to me in the comic books that you read back in the day, they have such meaning and such depth. And I find that the movies typically do not, because they get caught up in all the special effects and all the grandeur, when in actuality, if they would get back to some of the basics of telling a story, I think they would be so much more appealing to not just the comic book fans, but also to regular everyday Joes like me.
Mhm.
It's just a thought. Yes, this was all over the place. There were so many fight scenes and so much staccato, frenetic behavior and information that it was just way too much for me. You know
Mhm.
how you can always tell, and we didn't see this together, we saw this in two different theaters. You can always tell about how I'm feeling about a movie by the way I'm watching it in my seat.
And I could picture how you were watching it.
Okay, describe to me what I was doing.
Well, I think probably after the 1 hour mark, you were slumping,
Okay. Then
looking around, looking to see where the exit is,
you are not
resisting,
wrong.
trying to resist and maybe not resisting, glancing at your phone. Yeah, it was all that.
Okay, I was in the middle seat. This is a packed theater. I didn't go to the critics screening. I went to the sneak peek and it was jam packed. And I picked a middle seat. I like the middle seat unless it's a movie like this where I'm like, can I like get up and like stand up and just watch the rest of the movie standing up? And I was leaning forward in my chair and oh my goodness. Okay. The I was one of five females in this audience. Did I count
Ah,
them? Yes, I did count
uh-huh.
them. And many of the other 99% of the people in the theater hadn't showered that day.
Okay. Yeah, then there's that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm actually going to bring this back to the 1960s and 70s when I used to lovingly watch the black and white series on TV. I loved Superman. I loved the episodes. I loved Jimmy. I loved Lois Lane and Perry White. These are characters that are very near and dear to me. I didn't read the comic books, but I did watch this show. So for those of you out there that are hating on me for saying that I hate superhero movies, it's not that. I hate the way that they're told. I loved the fact that they were able to embody Perry White by Wendell Pierce. I love Wendell Pierce.
Hmm.
And Jimmy Olsen, Skylar Gisondo, who is perfect in
Yeah.
this role. And I gotta say, Lois Lane is played by, and I'm blanking on her name.
Rachel Brosnahan.
Thank you. She was perfectly cast as well. And David Corenswet, I think is how you say his
Lauren
name.
Sweat. Yeah.
He actually reminded me, his features reminded me a lot of my son. So there was an endearing quality. So these characters fit the roles
Mhm.
perfectly to me. Had they have actually done a little bit more with the
And should
story,
have,
actually less with the story, if they would have done less with the story, it would have
and
given
more with the
so
characters.
much more. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that the whole Lex Luthor, I mean, how many soliloquies did that guy have? I mean, Nicholas Hoult
Yeah.
did a great job as this evil villain who, as you said, embodies, I was even thinking maybe Elon Musk as well as Trump, a little
Sure. It's a
both.
combination.
Yeah,
But in
well, that's what
but
it
in
is.
defense of his soliloquies, they are as grandiose as he is, and they do speak to his insecurity.
Okay. Um, I I think they were, I think it was too much.
Okay.
Um, and yes, the soliloquy is quite long, but
Yeah.
these were too
Well,
long.
but he's meant to be too much.
Okay.
Um, you know, it's interesting you mentioned there only being five women in the audience when there is such a strong female character here.
Right?
She is the best Lois Lane ever. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay.
She goes toe to toe with him. There's no pushing her around. She's smart. She's sexy.
Yes.
She's sassy. She's everything you want. She's
You're
perfect.
right. Yep, she does an
And
amazing job. I loved the interview that when
yeah, yeah.
Lois Lane interviewed Superman as Superman, and yes, they're having a little romance, a little affair there. We all know this in the very beginning.
Hmm.
And she is smart and she doesn't take any guff, and she always
Hmm.
asks the question, why? And I loved that in a female character. So you're right. This was a very strong female character. And all five of us in the audience realized that, I think. I should have had a
Well,
little powwow afterwards for
there you
all
go.
women come to the corner and talk with me.
About Lois, yeah.
Yes, and everyone will have showered. Yeah.
Well, and I think the casting across the board is great.
Yes,
We
I
also
agree.
have the Justice Gang with Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl, and Metamorpho. They need their own movie right away. They're a makeshift Justice League. They can't stand each other, and that humor really helped in spots, I thought.
It did. It did. Actually, Mr. Terrific is played by Eddie Gathegi, and he
Yes.
he was a highlight for me. You know, when he was on the screen, his sarcasm, and
Hmm.
he showed some depth of character in so few lines and scenes. He was truly a highlight in the movie.
Right. That's what I mean. They need their own film. Nathan Fillion sporting that Guy Gardner awful haircut is great. Uh, Isabella Merced as Hot Girl, the former Dora. She's great. And
Oh, that's how I know her. Okay.
yeah, she was in the Dora film. And
Yeah,
Andrew Corrigan from Barry is great as Metamorpho as well.
right.
They need their own movie right away because
As
they are
long as they
definitely
keep
a highlight.
as long as they keep that same sensibility of humor, you know?
Oh,
You
they
bring
will because
when you
that
bring
sensibility of humor is in the comic.
Okay, and they need to retain that because that will keep everyone engaged.
Hmm.
Another standout that I have to mention because I'm just a huge fan of this guy, Gary, the C3PO kind of robot, is played by
Oh,
Alan
yes.
Tudyk. Did I say his
Yeah,
name right?
yeah, yeah. The robots in the Fortress of Solitude. Yes.
And I love him. I was recently turned on to a Netflix series that has 3 seasons called Resident Alien.
Hmm.
And it is silly and sweet and fun and entertaining. And they only had 3 seasons. They wrapped up a lot of stuff at the end, but you could tell they were hoping to be greenlit for a 4th season, and they weren't. So I need to know what happens to this character. I love Alan. He's an odd duck, and I love that style and sense of humor. So,
You need to check out a movie called Tucker and Dale
oh, I know.
versus Evil. He is great in that film, and it is a
Yes.
goofy, goofy movie.
Yes, I've seen that many, many times. I actually
Yeah.
saw that at Sundance
Ah,
before it even came out. Um,
okay, great. Yeah.
it was a midnight premiere. Yeah, the audience
Totally
loved it.
appropriate for midnight. Oh, I bet they did. I bet they did. You know, there's and Eve Tessmacher, I mean, from the 78 film played by Valerie Perrine, uh, this time still Luther's girlfriend.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, the actress whose name is escaping me now, but I did love
Sarah
her.
Sampaio.
Sarah Sampaio, she's great too. And there's a big surprise with her and another character in the movie that was just an absolute hoot. When Gunn is doing comedy or humor, that's really when the film soared for me.
Right,
You know, it was a genuinely funny movie, really genuinely funny. But the thing that's interesting is I wasn't in awe of the film, and like I was with the first Superman, and I think that has to do with superhero fatigue. It has to, you know.
If
We've seen
you're
superheroes do every what?
if you're feeling superhero fatigue, imagine how I'm feeling.
Well, exactly, exactly. But and it's an unfair comparison. I mean, in 1978, when the first one came out, they had never done this, and the
Right,
whole tagline was, "You'll believe a man can fly." And you believed it. And that was an amazing, amazing thing at that point. There was
right,
just a sense of wonder about it.
right,
My review is mixed, but I'm going to say it's more positive than negative of this. I'm not happy with what they did with Ma and Pa Kent.
right.
Uh,
That's
they are
sad.
not they are not the simpletons that they are
Right.
portrayed here, as they are portrayed here.
Yeah.
Supergirl shows up at the end. Wasn't impressed with her. I don't like how that is her, she's being characterized, and for her to be the lead of the next film in this universe, I'm a little worried at this point.
I'm sure you are. And my
But
review is definitely skewing negative.
yeah, I know it
Because
is.
if you're, I mean, but I do see the positives in it. That should make me on the fence, but it was just so long and so redundant that I can't recommend it, you know?
And I can't argue with that. I get it. I get it. And my review is a mildly positive one. I wish, I wanted to love this movie. You
I
know that.
know.
But I liked it. I liked it enough that I want to see what happens next.
Well, I'm
So,
sure you
so there
will.
you go. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know what the budget on this thing was, and I'm concerned that the marketing that's gone into this on an international level is
Right?
bringing them such a hold that they're never going to turn a profit on this film. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all develops because I know he's got a roster of 5, 6 films he wants to do. We'll see if he gets to do them.
Hey, James Gunn, if you're listening to our podcast, I'm going to chuckle there for a second.
Oh,
Um,
he is.
just, consult with us and we'll let you know where you need to put in the humor because you need more of it. And let's back off on the action and put a little bit more depth into it.
Yeah,
We can help
yeah,
you out.
I agree.
We're cheap.
We're cheap and willing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Something that isn't getting a lot of marketing, probably doesn't have much of a budget for any kind of marketing, is the movie Sovereign. And it stars Nick Offerman, Jacob Tremblay, and Dennis Quaid. This was quite a surprising movie.
Yeah.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
about a father and son, and that's Nick Offerman and Jacob Tremblay, and Nick plays Jerry, and Jacob plays Joe or Joey. And these two, they don't live off the grid, but they live off. They make it so that they don't have to identify as citizens of the United States. They are sovereign citizens. I don't know if you guys have seen like on Instagram and Facebook these what I consider to be kind of nutso people who are all about when they get pulled over by the police, they give them their papers, their traveling papers, like they're Amish or something. And they don't have to identify themselves. They don't have to have a license. They have verbiage to work around everything. They don't believe in government in any way interfering with their lives, and that's including schools. So Joey is probably, I don't know, 10th, 11th grade age, and he is homeschooled. Smart kid. And he is being basically, from my perspective, brainwashed into thinking all these different things about the government and the banking system and who owes whom what and why. And they are in dire straits because their home is going to be taken away from them because they haven't paid their mortgage. You can see that Joe is at a crossroads in life, and he is starting to, after they've been arrested, after being pulled over in a traffic incident, um, you see that Joe is seeing a different side of the coin that I don't think he's ever seen before. Mom is not in the picture. She's dead. I don't know any more information than that. And we've got um, Jerry, sorry, I blanked on his name, Jerry,
Yeah, you're
who
good.
is just his mentality and his thought process of how the world should work with them in it. And then he travels all over the place and does podcasts and interviews on radio stations to tell people how to buck the system, basically, but in very illegal ways. Well, this builds and builds and builds. We also meet Dennis Quaid and his son, who is a police officer. I'm not going to tell you anything more than that, but there's a lot that happens toward the end of the movie with those two characters. This is a disturbingly heartbreaking movie about what happens when you take everything into your own hands and don't, I don't know, what is the word I'm looking for, Chuck? This was just such a powerful film.
Well, it's powerful on a lot of different levels. I mean, it's based on a true story.
Right,
And
right.
after I watched the film, I did a little digging, and the film is pretty much accurate as to what happened and this guy's background. You know, as I was watching this, I mean, really, it talks about the people who have been forgotten. You
Okay.
know, who the system has left behind. He takes advantage of these other people who are poor with these seminars, these legal seminars he
Right.
gives, and he stokes their anger.
And
As I
fear.
was watching this, I was thinking fear, complete fear,
Yeah.
and you're in this sense of being left behind. And as I was watching this film, I was thinking it's really amazing that people don't snap more often, like this guy did.
Right.
You know, when you're backed into a corner and there are no options, what do you do? I think that was one of the main aspects of the film, and also another aspect of the film was a call for mental health
Yeah.
being available to everyone. I mean, this man is regrettably very disturbed,
Yeah.
uh, and it's to Offerman's credit that, and boy, what a performance!
Wow.
That not only are you scared of him, but I was even sympathetic of it.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Felt
he
bad
was
for the guy.
yeah, he really he thought he was in the right with his
Mhm.
thinking. He was thinking he's doing the best thing he can for his son. He loved his son tremendously. Their relationship felt so incredibly real. Jacob Tremblay, boy, did he grow up. He's the little boy that was in the movie
Man.
Room, right?
Well, yeah, and he was also in Wonder.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. And Nick Offerman, I think he always gets pigeonholed in
Sure.
different comedic roles. He's a funny guy, and he is actually from our hometown area of Illinois, which is kind of fun. I've interviewed
Yeah.
him a few times. Great guy. But boy, he has more acting chops than I ever dreamed possible. He is scary. He's menacing and charming and real. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh,
This
completely.
this is one of the best performances I think I've ever seen him do, and I think one of the standouts of the year so far from a
I
leading
agree.
actor.
I agree. And it's a shame it's not going to get the press it needs. He's a revelation here. And Tremblay, I mean, he stands up to him. I mean, he's not blown off the screen at all. He's
No.
there with him every step of the way. It really was a great performances across the board here.
Well, and Jacob Tremblay had to do so much with few lines too.
Yeah,
Everything came from body language and facial expressions and
reaction.
the nuances, the small itty bitty teeny weeny little changes in facial features to convey so much to the viewer.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
was an incredible performance.
And I gotta say, that last image is going to stay with me for a while.
Where can people see this?
Yeah, not you.
Oh, definitely me. No, the whole film is going to stay with me, but that, yes, that final image
Yeah,
is just
with Quaid.
haunting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is in theaters, and I know these. It's from Briarcliff Films, which obviously is a very small distribution. I don't know what their thinking is on when they release these things. Releasing it the same weekend as Superman. I'm not in the boardroom. I'm not there helping with these decisions, but and I understand counter programming, but in the atmosphere that we're in, where movies aren't allowed to find an audience, where they're gone a week or two, or after a week or two, it's really a shame because this one deserves to be out there to find an audience.
Right, right.
So,
I wonder with a movie like this, and I think the performances were so strong that I do feel like this needs to be remembered around awards time.
mhm.
I wonder if they should have done a same day release in theaters as well as streaming to find more of an audience. So at least you have that requisite
Mhm.
theatrical screening.
And do that in December or
Yeah,
November when we're
yeah.
thinking about this. This movie reminded me a lot of Ghostlight from last year
Yes.
in
Yeah.
regards to the level of performances and how small this film is and how it just came out of nowhere.
It
When I
really,
posted my review on Rotten Tomatoes, there was only 20 reviews.
oh my gosh.
So that surprised me as well. Most of them positive. It's trending positive, but only 20 reviews as of yesterday. I'm going to check
Okay.
that real quick while we talk. But yeah,
And
Sovereign, if you're looking for something that's not a superhero film, definitely check it out.
yeah, Christian Swagel is the writer and director of this movie, and he doesn't have a huge repertoire. So maybe that's why, but boy, oh boy, whenever, if he has something else that he makes, I will definitely watch it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a great calling card on this. Ow.
What else? We wanted to kind of mention heads of state. I think you
Yes.
did more than me.
I did. I did. It's a goofy premise. John Cena as the president, which, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, isn't all that goofy.
Right?
He portrays a former action film star who becomes president, which, you know, not out of the realm of possibility.
Nope.
And I love Cena.
I
I
do
love
too.
Cena. And by the way, to backtrack to Superman real quick, those who are fans of Cena, Peacemaker shows up for one scene and it was greeted with a round of appreciative applause in my screening.
It was funny. It was funny. Everyone burst out into laughter. Even I laughed at that.
Yeah. And my stepson got me to watch the Peacemaker show on HBO. Really good.
Oh,
Really
okay. I'll have to take a
James
look at
Gunn
that.
there as well. And I think you might like it because it's more funny than superhero-ish.
Okay.
So,
All right. I will
uh,
check it out.
but interesting casting. John Cena as the president, Idris Elba, Prime Minister of England. On paper, that looks great to me.
Yes.
You know, get involved in an adventure. They're on Air Force One. It gets shot down. They've got to get out of Belarus. There's a world international plot to wipe out the NATO. They got to get there. They got to deal with each other. Blah 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 blah. It's pretty damn stupid. But if you're looking for a movie to just sit on the couch and eat popcorn and just kind of look up at every once in a while, it fits the bill.
Okay. I did not enjoy it as much as you did. You're right. On paper, I'm there. I love both those two characters. They are polar opposites in every way, and they make that very evident in the movie. But I just don't think they took advantage of either of their abilities to be funny. And I think they could
Hmm.
have done so much more. It was way too violent, especially in the beginning. The beginning set the wrong tone for the film. It was It was disturbingly violent. It was absolutely awful. Oh, speaking of disturbingly violent, I'm going to circle back to Superman again. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
fine.
um, did you find it to be a little darker and more violent graphically than it should have been?
No.
Okay.
The only thing I had a problem with there was the baby.
Okay.
When the baby was in peril, I had a problem with that. But in comparison to the Zack Snyder Superman movies, no, no, I didn't
Okay.
find that way.
Okay. I
What hit you wrong?
shotgun to the head,
Oh,
execution.
that?
Yeah.
Well, that was a shocker, and I think it was meant to be a shocker.
Yeah, I thought it was over
Um,
the top too much.
didn't see it. It wasn't done graphically.
It was
It was.
done, they panned the camera back. You still saw it.
Yeah, but not the way it could have been. I mean, you're not
Okay.
seeing, brain matter or splatters or anything like that. I mean, if you think about how it could have been done, I think that he showed as much restraint as possible. And I think it was necessary to just show how bad that other character is.
Yeah, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. It to me, again, tonally, you have this shockingly disturbing act of violence against an innocent person. And then two
Mhm.
seconds later, there's a joke and everyone's laughing in the theater. I'm still reeling from what I just saw.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can't argue with that. I guess I was just thinking, it could have been worse.
Okay.
So, hey,
What
go ahead.
one more question, then I'm going to stop with the Superman stuff.
No,
Um, what age group do you think could handle this, Superman?
you know, uh, when I saw it, there were quite a few people who had brought their kids.
Same. Yeah.
Um, I don't know anymore. It's a weird mixture of things, 8 and up.
Okay.
I mean, because you're right. I mean, has very disparate tones.
Yeah.
Um, but again, and I don't really know. I mean, you said you had a 7-year-old sitting next to you during Jurassic Park who was not happy.
Oh my God. Scary,
Uh,
scary stuff
but
with this
that's
little
scary in
guy.
a different way. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's totally
right.
different than this. I don't know, 8 or 10, you
Okay. I
know.
was thinking 10, 10 and up. I don't, I'm kind of out of touch with the little kid thing.
Me
So
too. Me too. But there's the dog.
the
There's the
dog.
dog. Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about the dog real quick? And then I am going to shut up about Superman. Um, the dog just didn't have a real quality to him. There was something that seemed animatronic to me, and I know he was CGI, which pisses me off. They could have trained a dog to do a few things. Um, I think they missed an opportunity to use a real dog for this. The eyes didn't seem real. They didn't take the time, I think, to do the eyes and the eyebrows and the way dogs move their faces in 27 different expressions. I just watched a documentary on Netflix called The Mind of the Dog. So
I
I
just
think
watched
they,
that too.
oh, did you really? It
Yeah,
was it was
fascinating.
really good, right?
Yeah, I didn't bother telling you about it because I figured you had seen it.
No, I just discovered it the other day. And it's so funny. Louis, my little Aussie, he sat on the couch and he watched the whole thing with me. I mean, he
Good
truly
for you.
watched.
Yeah,
So then we
my
started doing
dog,
the we
my
started doing
dog
these
tore up a shoe while we watched it. Okay.
we started doing pointing activities with the dogs to see, if they watch, pointing and how they respond to that. And it was kind of fun. So
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
the dog on
Crypto.
Kryptonite, whatever. Um,
Ah,
All right, you're gonna get a kick out of this. I had lunch with my son the day that I was gonna see the movie, and I said, "Yeah, I gotta go see Superman." He goes, "Oh, he didn't. He's not into it either. I think I raised him that way." And I said, "Is that DC or Marvel?" And John goes, "I don't know." And I said, "I'm gonna ask Chuck, and he's gonna get pissed." He's just shaking his head at me, everybody, just shaking his head. And we have to wrap things up on that happy little note. Thanks for listening, everybody. Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Check out our interviews, our reviews. Chuck?
and more coming about the Gene Hackman Film Festival that we are involved with. More coming on that August 16th and 17th in Danville, Illinois, Gene Hackman's hometown. Weeks to come, we're going to be telling you an awful lot about that.
At the Fisher Historic Theater. I can't wait.
Going to be a blast.